The infamous unsolved mystery of the Zodiac killer case is one of the most enigmatic in criminal history. Are you enjoying the video? If so, please subscribe to the video. We appreciate your help. Enjoy the video. Characterized by meticulous planning, cryptic communications, and a taunting relationship with law enforcement. Below, I'll recount the story through the lens of forensic evidence and psychological analysis, focusing on key events, investigative details, and insights into the killer's psyche, while avoiding speculation beyond what the evidence suggests. The story of the Zodiac killer. The crimes. A timeline of terror. The Zodiac killer operated primarily in Northern California with confirmed attacks between 1968 and 1969, though he claimed responsibility for additional murders. The following is a summary of the verified incidents based on forensic evidence. 1. December 20th, 1968. Lake Herman Road, Benicia. Victims David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16. Details: the teenage couple was shot to death in a lover's lane. Faraday was shot once in the head at close range, and Jensen was shot 5 times in the back while attempting to flee. Ballistic evidence indicated a .22 caliber weapon, likely a pistol, with shell casings recovered at the scene. The lack of robbery or sexual assault suggested a motive driven by thrill or control. Forensic notes. The crime scene was relatively clean, with no fingerprints or significant physical evidence beyond the bullets and casings. The precision of the attack suggested a calculated approach, possibly with prior surveillance of the location. July 4th, 1969, Blue Rock Springs, Vallejo. Victims Darlene Ferrin, 22, killed, and Michael Majot, 19, survived. The couple was shot in a parked car. Ferrin was killed with multiple gunshot wounds, while Majot survived despite being shot in the face, neck, and chest. The weapon was a 9mm handgun. Approximately 40 minutes after the attack, a man called the Vallejo Police Department, claiming responsibility and referencing the Lake Herman Road murders. Majot provided a partial description of the assailant, a white male, stocky with short hair, wearing a dark jacket. Forensic notes. The phone call, traced to a payphone, contained no recoverable forensic evidence like fingerprints. The killer's use of a different caliber weapon suggested adaptability or access to multiple firearms. Majot's survival provided a rare eyewitness account, though his description was vague due to trauma and poor lighting. September 27, 1969, Lake Berryessa, Napa County. Victims Brian Hartnell, 20, survived, and Cecilia Shepard, 22, killed. Details. The couple was attacked while picnicking on a peninsula. The assailant, wearing a hooded costume with a white circled cross symbol, approached them, claiming to be an escaped convict. He bound them with rope before stabbing them repeatedly. Shepard died from her injuries while Hartnell survived. The killer wrote a message on Hartnell's car door, claiming responsibility for earlier murders and providing dates and locations. Forensic notes. The costume, described as professionally made, suggested premeditation and a desire for theatricality. The use of a knife instead of a gun marked a shift in method, possibly indicating a desire for a more personal, hands-on kill. Footprints at the scene indicated a size 10.5 military-style boot, and tire tracks suggested a vehicle, but neither led to a suspect. The writing on the car door was consistent with later Zodiac communications. October 11, 1969, Presidio Heights, San Francisco. Victim Paul Stein, 29, killed. Details. Stein, a cab driver, was shot once in the head with a 9mm handgun in a residential area. The killer took Steiner's wallet, keys, and a portion of his bloodied shirt. 3 teenagers witnessed the assailant fleeing and provided a description to police. A white male, 45 years old, 5'8", 5'10", stocky build, wearing glasses and a dark jacket. A composite sketch was created based on their account. The killer later mailed pieces of Stein's shirt to the San Francisco Chronicle, confirming his involvement. Forensic notes. Fingerprints and a palm print were recovered from the cab, though their attribution to the killer remains uncertain due to contamination risks. The single shot to the head suggested efficiency and intent to kill quickly. The urban setting and boldness of the attack indicated growing confidence. The Zodiac's communications, a cryptic game. The Zodiac killer's defining trait was his taunting correspondence with newspapers and police beginning in August 1969. He sent letters and ciphers to the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Examiner, and Vallejo Times-Herald, claiming responsibility for the murders and demanding publication. Key communications include the 408 cipher, August 1969. Sent in 3 parts to different newspapers, this cipher was solved by a high school teacher and his wife. It revealed a message about the killer's enjoyment of killing and his belief that his victims would serve him in the afterlife. The cipher's construction was sophisticated, using a homophonic substitution system suggesting cryptographic knowledge. Dripping pen card, September 1969. This included another cipher, the 340 cipher, which remained unsolved until 2020. The solved 340 cipher revealed a taunting message but no specific clues to the killer's identity. Letters with shirt pieces, October 1969 to 1970. The Zodiac mailed pieces of Paul Stein's shirt to authenticate his claims. These letters often included threats of further violence, such as bombing a school bus, though no such attacks were verified. Later letters, 1970 and 1974. The Zodiac claimed responsibility for additional murders, including up to 37 victims, though only 7 are confirmed, 5 killed, 2 survived. Letters became less frequent after 1971, with the final authenticated one sent in 1974. Forensic analysis of communications. Handwriting analysis confirmed consistency across letters, suggesting a single author. The paper, ink and stamps were common, yielding no unique forensic leads. No DNA was recovered from the letters, as saliva-based DNA analysis was not available in the 1960s. A 2002 attempt to extract DNA from stamps was inconclusive. The ciphers demonstrated a mix of sophistication and errors, e.g., misspellings like paradise for paradise, possibly intentional to mislead or reflective of the killer's personality. Psychological profile of the Zodiac killer. As a forensic psychologist, I can construct a profile based on the evidence and behavioral patterns. Demographics, likely a white male, aged 25-45 during the crimes, based on witness descriptions and composite sketches. He was physically fit, given the physicality of the Lake Berryessa attack, and likely had a stable job or lifestyle that allowed mobility across Northern California. Personality traits. Narcissistic and grandiose. The Zodiac's letters and ciphers reflect a need for attention and control. His taunting of police and demands for publication suggest a desire to be seen as superior. Sadistic and thrill-seeking. The variation in methods, shooting, stabbing, and the targeting of vulnerable couples indicate a thrill-driven motive, with killing as a means of exerting power. Organized offender. The Zodiac's crimes show planning, e.g., choosing isolated locations, wearing a costume, cleaning crime scenes of personal evidence. His ability to evade capture suggests familiarity with police procedures, possibly from reading or a low-level connection to law enforcement. Cryptographic interest. The ciphers suggest above-average intelligence and an interest in puzzles or codes, possibly self-taught or from a technical background, e.g., military, engineering, or mathematics. Motivations. The Zodiac likely killed for psychological gratification, deriving pleasure from both the act and the subsequent manipulation of public perception. His letters suggest a fantasy of godlike control with references to victims as slaves in an afterlife. This could indicate a compensatory mechanism for feelings of inadequacy in his personal life. The theatricality, e.g. the Lake Berryessa costume, points to a need for drama and a desire to create a lasting persona. Possible psychological disorders. Narcissistic personality disorder evidenced by grandiosity and need for admiration. Antisocial personality traits. Lack of remorse, disregard for societal norms, and manipulative behavior. Possible paraphilic sadism, the pleasure derived from victims' fear and pain, particularly in the Lake Berryessa attack. Investigation and suspects. The Zodiac case involved multiple law enforcement agencies, Vallejo PD, Napa County Sheriff, San Francisco PD, and the FBI. Key investigative efforts included forensic challenges, the lack of advanced forensic technology, e.g., DNA profiling, in the 1960s, limited evidence analysis. Fingerprints from the Stein crime scene and possible DNA from letters have not conclusively identified a suspect. Ciphers and letters. The 408 cipher was solved quickly, but the 340 cipher resisted decryption for decades, suggesting the killer's cryptographic skill was inconsistent or deliberately misleading. Later letters were scrutinized for authenticity, as copycats were a concern. Suspects. Over 2,500 individuals were investigated. Notable suspects include Arthur Lee Allen, the primary suspect based on circumstantial evidence, e.g., ownership of a Zodiac watch, similar handwriting, and a 1971 conversation where he referenced the Zodiac persona. However, fingerprint and handwriting comparisons were inconclusive, and Allen died in 1992. Others, suspects like Rick Marshall, Lawrence Kane, and Ross Sullivan, were investigated but lacked definitive links. No suspect has been conclusively tied to the crimes through forensic evidence. Current status and legacy. The Zodiac case remains open, with no definitive resolution. Advances in forensic technology, such as genetic genealogy, have renewed hope, but degraded or contaminated evidence, e.g. from stamps or crime scenes, poses challenges. In 2021, an independent group claimed to identify the Zodiac as Gary Post, but law enforcement has not confirmed this, and the claim lacks forensic substantiation, The Zodiac's cultural impact is significant, inspiring books, films, e.g. Zodiac, 2007, and ongoing public fascination. His ability to evade capture and manipulate media highlights the limitations of 1960s investigative techniques and the power of psychological terror. Conclusion: the Zodiac Killer was a meticulous, intelligent, and narcissistic individual who orchestrated a series of calculated murders, leaving behind a trail of cryptic messages and forensic breadcrumbs that have yet to fully unravel his identity. From a forensic science perspective, the case underscores the importance of physical evidence preservation and the evolution of DNA technology. Psychologically, the Zodiac represents a rare blend of organized criminality and theatrical sadism driven by a need for control and infamy. Despite decades of investigation, the killer's true identity remains elusive, making this one of the most enduring mysteries in criminal history. Thank you for watching.